the form, fill it in.
Sorry, Tony, forgot. Do you want to mention all that again?
Sorry. So just you download the form from Cricket Ireland, as I say, from the hang on, where I've got it here. It's Get Involved, Garda Vetting on the Cricket Ireland website. And
the physical links have actually just been shared on the chat there.
Yeah, great. Okay, good.
If you go to
And then when you fill it in, you send it to LCUSA Garda Vetting. But I say the most important thing from our point of view and getting you vetted as well is that to remember the letter comes back to you, because some people, they get it back and they think, great, I'm sorted now. But unless you send it on to us, because it's a confidential document, the guards only send it to you. They don't automatically share it with us. But you need to share it with us in order to be appointed. And then if you have an existing one that you got through your club, provided it's in date, that's fine too.
There's the website there. There's the Cricket Ireland website. And then you go down to here and you click this and it'll open up. You print off the form, you do it in block capitals. And then you sign it off, tick it off, and you provide that, whatever you do, provide. And I will send it off for you on your behalf. Okay, once I check it. Okay, off you go, Tony.
Yeah, and that's why, as Jared Bryan put in, their existing one's valid for 3 years. Yeah. And then once you do become an umpire and you're umpiring, you will get reminders from us when your vetting is due to go out of date.
And yes, so Luke, they will be put in, the links will be put into the WhatsApp group.
Okay. Sorry, I'm on a phone here, so I can't really monitor the chat very easily.
I'll monitor the chat for you, and Tony, you carry on.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's pretty much it in terms of the vetting process. So that's what I'm here to talk about, isn't it, Peter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's going to talk about clothing? Oh,
well, clothing is, we're potentially changing clothing supplier, but that has to be ratified by the AGM, which is happening next Monday. So I'm not sure how much we can say about it in the interim. The details will be sent out.
You can take orders, Tony.
True. Yes, we can take orders based on people's size. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, if people can get their sizes into us, that would be good too.
I think it's fair to say that we'll only need white clothing this year.
New umpires will only need white clothing, yes, because we've come to an arrangement with Cricket Leinster whereby white clothing will be due for pink ball cricket this year. So it's only white ball cricket that will need coloured clothing. White ball cricket is only played by teams in men's divisions, open divisions, I should say, Division 1 and 2, and Women's Division 1. So it is unlikely that a new umpire will be appointed to stand in any of those matches. And in that event, if we're badly stuck, then arrangements will be made to get you coloured clothing. So that's that.
Who's up next, Tony? I wasn't sure what the agenda was.
I don't know. Peter kind of convened this, didn't he? So.
Oh, Prashant did. So I'm not giving them.
Prashant,
Oh yeah, sorry.
No,
sorry.
No, that's okay.
They're asking about clothes and all that. We'll talk about clothing.
Yeah.
And there's specific what you have to wear and everything on the LCUSA website. So.
I think let us just keep to the so that people are not confused. So basically, the first point was like, Tony, if you can give us the overview, because you covered the Garda vetting, which is fine. If you can give an overview of the LCUSA as an organization.
Right, the LCUSA, fair enough, as an organization, we are the representative body for cricket scorers and umpires in Leinster. We're the Leinster branch of IACUS, which is the national body for cricket officials. The courses that you've done, the qualifications you get come from IACUS. So in order to be a recognised and qualified cricket umpire in Ireland, you have to be a member of an IACUS association. There's one in each province apart from Connacht. So there's the Munster Cricket Umpires and Scorers Association, ourselves, the North of Ireland Cricket Umpires and Scorers Association, and the Northwest Cricket Umpires and Scorers Association. Those four bodies make up IACUS. And so we run courses on behalf of IACUS, and the qualifications that we give are accredited by IACUS. We're also the body that appoints umpires to matches in Leinster through Who's the Umpire, which somebody else will be talking, Matt will be talking about the ins and outs of that. And we're the representative body that agrees umpires' fees and so forth, and clothing and that kind of thing with Cricket Leinster. And we also appoint umpires to IACUS panels, where you can go on then to umpire interprovincial club cricket, first class cricket, or potentially work your way up to representative international cricket. There are currently four Irish umpires on ICC panels, one of whom is our own Paul Reynolds, who's a member of the LCUSA. So that's what we are, what we do. Obviously, we run courses for scorers as well. And again, scorers accreditation, and people who score representative matches are nominated by their provincial associations. So anybody scoring for the Leinster Lightning will be somebody that we have nominated. And again, those people can go on and score for Irish international teams as well, potentially. So that's what we are, what we do. So if you want to be a cricket official in Ireland, you have to be a member of your provincial umpires and scorers association. And that's how you get qualified, and that's how you get appointed.
And just to put a face on a name, if you have to make a disciplinary report.
Very true. Yes. It's me. Yeah. So disciplinary reports unfortunately, when you stand in matches, you'll have to do a match report as a matter of routine, just about the ground conditions and say what happened and so on and so forth. And in the event that something goes wrong and you have to invoke Law 42 on the pitch, or if something happens even where Law 42 isn't applied, like if there's a punch up between players during tea or whatever, there's a separate disciplinary report form which you fill in and send to me. I will then review it and forward it to the Cricket Leinster Disciplinary Committee, and depending on what happens, you may or may not have to come to a hearing. Now, I don't know whether they'll be back to physical hearings this year or not. For the last couple of years, they've all been done on Zoom. If you have to attend a physical hearing, generally speaking, you do get travelling expenses for that. But again, I'm not sure what the situation is there as yet. But that's it. If you make a disciplinary report, generally minor ones, the umpires are not required to attend a hearing. More serious ones, the umpires usually will be required to attend a hearing. But in the first instance, as I say, you fill in, there's a disciplinary form available on our website, and you fill it in and send it to me. Again, if you follow the Cricket Leinster Code of Conduct and Law 42 are your guidance for that. So if this is a breach of the Code of Conduct, and if you invoke Law 42 on the field, you must make a disciplinary report, even if it's for something very minor. So a minor incident of dissent, if you invoke a first warning, if you like, under Law 42, then you do have to report it. Now, in general, what happens in those situations, the disciplinary committee, is that they will just issue a warning letter to the player. However, the reason that it's so important to report is that you don't know, and I don't know necessarily, what the disciplinary record of a player is. And if they've got 4 or 5 minor incidents, it's a pattern, and the disciplinary committee will want to do something about it. So, these things don't necessarily happen in isolation. So please bear that in mind. Don't think anything is too minor. It's a decision for the disciplinary committee whether it's too minor to do anything about. You just need to report it. That's your job. And then the disciplinary committee will make its mind up as to what needs to be done about it. Often very little, or nothing other than, please don't be a naughty boy and don't do it again. But as I say, in some cases, people will have a pattern of poor behavior, so it needs to be dealt with. So we can't afford to let things slide. And it's in the interest of all your colleagues to, keep this up, because, we want everyone to enjoy the game. We want everyone to be well behaved, and where people start getting away with things, then gradually behavior and standards can slip. And it's for us to maintain them for everybody, for all players, so that everybody enjoys the game. So is there anything else that I should mention?
Just echoing on Tony's points, please make sure that if you use Law 42, that you do report. There is we get several examples every season where Law 42 has been invoked on field and either it's not done properly or the report is not done at all. For the sake of your colleagues, being the next week or several weeks after, make sure you do your reports. If you need assistance, there is always assistance out there if you require it and request it.
And as I say, the reports come to me in the first instance, and we can discuss what happened before it's formally sent off to the disciplinary committee. And in general, I attend the hearings as well with the umpires.
Okay. Is there any questions from anyone to Tony before we move on? In terms of the GARDA vetting or the organization as explained by Tony? Okay. Will, can you please, I know we have mentioned a few things about clothing. Is it okay if you can please go through the clothing piece?
Absolutely, no problem at all. I mean, it's going to be short and sweet for me. A lot of this is going to be your questions, which is why I was asking you to hold back your questions back. So the story is, as Tony has just pointed out, for your first season, you will only need white gear. Steve Lizzie asked, could he use previous gear that was issued some number of years ago? Unfortunately not, and then you will be required to use the current version of gear. Okay. Currently speaking, our provider is O'Neill's. Give me 2 seconds. Try and put this in and hold it at the same time. This is the jacket, 2 top pockets, lined pockets at the bottom. Oh, thank you for everyone who's done that. Now, currently, we have loops for when we held jumpers in the past. Not sure if that'll continue, but that'll be discussed before the season starts. The shirt that we use, fairly basic, top pocket where you normally hold your match card, your bowling card, whatever you wish to call it. Okay, so that's currently the gear that you must wear that is distributed by the LCUSA at the moment. Now, we are down to make a decision whether or not we move from O'Neill's at the AGM. Personally, I hope that we do, but that's up to the members to decide. The difference between O'Neill's and the other provider is O'Neill's will provide a bulk order. So you will be providing your details to Tony, who will then do a bulk order for your name, for your size, etc., etc. The other provider will be an online, if it's ratified, will be an online shop. So you'll be purchasing directly from the provider, who will then send it directly to your address. So it's just one thing to coincide. Due to how close it is getting to the season, I'm going to ask Tony or Peter to send out a Google Doc to all the members on this call, requesting their sizes that they require. So if we do not change providers, that we are already a step ahead to get those orders out to you as soon as possible. Normally speaking, correct me.
Sorry, Will, I muted you.
Tony, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the lead time for O'Neill's orders is 6 weeks. Is that correct?
It's about that, yeah.
Okay, we'll call it between 5 and 6 weeks. So we're already quite tight on time. So a Google Doc will be shared by Peter or Tony to all the members on this call. I would request that you fill it out as soon as possible so that we have your details if we do not change provider. If we do change provider following the AGM, a link will be shared on the WhatsApp group. Again, I would suggest that you complete that as soon as possible. The orders, if we change provider, will be, I've been advised, will take 4.5 to 5 weeks. And with the start of the season being the 9th, that will be very tight. but we will obviously do our best, and we will put as much pressure as we can on the provider of choice. To go through what you're expected to wear on a day, the LCUSA provided jacket, LCUSA provided shirt are the only two, and those are the only two items that you may wear that are LCUSA. If you choose to wear a jumper or something in between, you must wear the jacket for the full day. You cannot have non-LCUSA clothing in sight. Black trousers are the preferred if you are in desperate situation. Navy and dark navy and trousers are a possibility as well. As discussed before, please no jeans. Same color shoes as the jacket that you wear. So your circumstances will be predominantly white shoes. I would personally recommend runners and nice and comfortable as possible. A lot of people use their batting shoes that they use for batting, for example, that don't have spikes. Clearly, we can't wear spikes. Luke, to answer your question, absolutely not. No jeans under any circumstances. If you want to wear them your first week, I'm quite sure we'll be lenient for your first week. But as Peter has just shared the link to the dress code. Just one final point that creates questions every year. Your headwear, the only thing that can be different from your colleague is from your chin and above. So, for example, you don't have to wear sunglasses if your colleague is wearing sunglasses, and vice versa. Likewise, you do not have to wear the same hat. If your colleague is wearing a hat, you do not have to wear a hat. However, if you wear a hat, it must be the same color as your jacket or your top, and it cannot be a baseball cap. So there are several examples. What I would tend to call the farmer's peak cap that Peter Thew wears regularly, or the Panama style hat or a sun hat. These hats are available.
Sorry, Will, can I interrupt you?
Yes, Willie.
There you go. That's the hat you want, lads.
Oh, good man. I couldn't lay my hand on mine. And thanks, Willie. Appreciate that.
It's your loveliness.
And your sunglasses. Very important. There you go.
I would recommend sunglasses, personally, but it's perfectly up to choice. So, as I say, a lot of my section was going to be up to your questions. So the floor is yours. Take yourself off mute. Fire the question out.
Sorry, can I just add one thing, Will?
Yes, Peter.
If you're starting to umpire at the beginning of the season, either buy yourself a pair of long johns and thermal vest, or get some Under Armour.
Yes.
You will not be running around the field, and that's what you're used to doing as a player. You will not be running into bowl. You will not be running up and down the pitch 50 times while you score your half century. You will be predominantly standing still. Standing still in April is cold.
Yep. Especially if you're in a wind-exposed area, the likes of Wesley College, Porterstown Park, insert several other clubs in there. The Hills is certainly the coldest place that I've ever umpired, and I'm sure the other gentlemen on the call can give other examples as well.
Railway Union.
Yeah, Railway Union is another one. Might be my age, but what type of black trousers are there that aren't jeans? Assume tracksuits, etc., are non-runner. Yes, Luke, quite correct. I would describe them as office trousers, chinos, bar trousers or bar work trousers, waiter trousers, whatever term you wish to insert. Normally available in Duns, pennies, etc., for in and around the 20 quid mark.
Can I just say there, Will?
Other retailers are available, obviously, of course, as well.
Duns or Tesco and all that do fairly decent black trousers.
Yeah.
And they do kind of ones that are like a Teflon, which are quite handy because the water kind of rolls off them a bit. So it's not too bad. And to answer that question that's just come up there, I carry a spare top, not a spare jacket, but I do carry a spare top, and I carry a spare pair of trousers to every game, and most umpires generally do.
You normally have a couple of spares knocking around. I've yet to experience a shirt being ripped. I've seen a couple of jackets being ripped on doors and these kind of things, but normally speaking, if a shirt rips, talk to your colleague and say, can we finish the game in jackets or something like that? There will always be a workaround that you can come to, but I'm yet to have such an example.
Just a question
Yes,
there. You mentioned the jumper. If you have a white cricket jumper, that's okay to wear underneath your
underneath,
white coat?
yes, but the top layer that you're wearing must be LCUSA.
Yeah. You don't have to keep that buttoned up all the time, though. It just has to be LCUSA, yeah.
Depending on how strict an assessor or your boundary assessor could be, I know some assessors and that I've had in the past have insisted that if I wear a jacket, it must be zipped to its highest. Some will allow you to have it to, if you like, approximately here where I'm pointing to. But it would be recommended that if you wear your jacket, it is worn as it should be. It can't obviously be zipped to the bottom and left open.
Right.
To answer your question, Junaid, if your colleague takes jacket off and officiate in the shirt, do you have to do the same? Yes. You must officiate both exactly the same. There are officials out there who will only officiate in a jacket. Doesn't matter if it's 30 degrees. It is up to you to decide between the two of you what you are wearing. You can change during the game. Some people put jackets on, some people decide to take jackets off. That's between you and your colleague to decide. Paul, that's just answered. I think that's just answered your question as well.
Great advantage of a jacket is it has lots of pockets.
Peter is one of the examples who will umpire in 30 degrees in a jacket. I, however, will umpire in a shirt in 15.
Bill, if you can, there was a question raised about the price. So is it okay if we can cover the pricing of the clothing and also the membership?
We can at the moment, no problem at all. For the two items that I showed you there, again, gentlemen, help me out here if I'm wrong. With current exchange rates, O'Neill's, who charge in Great British pounds, is currently coming to approximately €80.
It's a bit more. Just bring it up to about 100 at the moment. The exchange rate.
The exchange rate has gone down. But it's because it's manufactured. Because it's manufactured in Northern Ireland, they invoice in sterling. Even though they're an iconic Irish brand, they invoice in sterling.
Yes, I follow. Unfortunately, that's a discussion that you'll have to have with your colleague. Don't worry, if I'm umpiring with you, I'll happily umpire in the shirt with you. Not a problem at all. Okay, that's just been answered. Any other questions there, please? As I say, this is a fire them at me session. I haven't got anything else dictated or prepared.
Just a question, like
sure.
As you said, season's going to start somewhere around 7th of April, something like that. So
Ninth.
should we place orders now, and how should we do that?
Yes, the order, and that's why the
Google Doc.
Google Doc, thank you very much, will be sent out this evening. So if we remain with O'Neill's, we will then press away with what orders we receive by that Google Doc. If we move to the new supplier, I will be sharing the link and advising you to jump on that link ASAP.
Okay, thank
you.
Yeah.
Okay, John Kirby, a little bit worried by Sports Hub, please. Huh? A little bit confused by that comment.
Should I answer the query from Abhishek?
You may, yeah.
Fine. Yep. Quite simple, Abhishek. The appointment secretary who is likely to be me, but that's subject to the will of the people, will ask you for your availability over a given period of time, probably initially to the end of May. You indicate the dates you're available, and we appoint accordingly. If it's your wife's birthday on the 16th of April, in the interest of peace and tranquility, you will not umpire that day, that's fine. And that's the joy of umpiring. You decide when you're going to do it. So you don't have to face the deathly silence when you get home having played. You decide, and the appointment secretary will appoint you to a match with a colleague of a similar level who can keep an eye on you.
Peter?
Fuller, no, you make yourself available. The way the fixtures are likely to be structured is that some days will be T20 days, some days will be league days. So,
Peter, can I just interrupt there for 2 seconds? Just we seem to be moving off at a bit of a tangent into Peter's area. Are there any further questions regarding clothing? Just so Peter can press ahead otherwise.
Will, do you recommend having multiple, as you and Peter said, having multiple set of clothes is recommended. So would that be the case?
Well, I'm going to answer your question with a question. How many games do you expect to do in this season? If you're expecting to do more than one on a weekend or one in a week, I would recommend having more than one shirt. Yes. If you're only expecting to do one every 2 weeks, then you'll be fine with one shirt and one jacket. So it's really a question back to you, I'm afraid.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Tony, there are a couple of questions regarding the fee for the LCUSA.
Well, actually, that also has to be decided by the AGM, but I imagine it will probably be the same as last year, which would be €50 for an umpire member and 20 for a scorer member.
And that will be emailed out to you with a link halfway during the season for you to pay. You'll all get an email and an invoice once I sort it out. But I will do it for you all. Someone asked me about the €100 that I quoted. Was that for one shirt and one jacket, or for two each? No, it's one shirt and one jacket. That's with O'Neill's. There's a separate price with a different supplier at the moment, Roy. I don't know what the price is.
Yeah, unfortunately, O'Neill's one is a product of the exchange rate. The same things were cheaper last year, but the exchange rate between the euro and sterling has declined. And because they're manufactured in Strabane in County Tyrone, they invoice in sterling.
Yeah. Now I have okay. That's okay then. Thank you so much, Will. Now the problem is actually, unfortunately, I cannot get hold of Matt. He did confirm that he would be available. So I can just request. So can either Will, Peter, Thew, or Tony wants to give it a crack at WTU, please?
I'm so sorry. I'm happy to talk about it, Prashant.
Yeah.
I'm several years since I've done the registration process, so that will be my weakness.
Peter Chew, there is a video, a 30-minute video we can watch, and I will put it on now if people want to watch it.
But the problem is actually, I'm not sure how the playback speed is and whether the people would be able to get it on Zoom.
Let me see how it look. Share.
Did you say Saracen? Don't think we need a 30-minute video on who's the umpire.
Okay, so just allow everybody.
Okay, I'll share it then to everyone to follow.
Hang on. Oh, I saw Matt.
Yeah, no, that didn't.
Yeah, it's him who's talking over the video.
Right.
Yeah, no, I don't think we need to watch a 30-minute video now. I think Willie's right. Essentially, you have to register. Who's the umpire is the application we use to manage umpire appointments. So you register on it, and then once you do that, you're able to go in, and there's a calendar that you fill in the days you're available, and the appointment secretary sees that. They make appointments.
If you want
When
to
you
give me
get your
2 minutes,
points-
Tony, I can log in and use my screen as a bit of a dummy if you like.
Okay, yeah. And basically, then when you're appointed to a match, you'll receive an email from who's the umpire saying you've been appointed, and the time and date and what competition it's in and what clubs are involved. You'll generally get contact details for the home team, and then you will click on an accept or decline to say that you're available to do it or not. So it's fairly straightforward from that one. So once you're registered on it,
Quite an important question has just come through regarding insurance there, Tony. I don't know if you want to field it there, please.
So I
sorry, I beg your pardon. I forgot you're having problems with the chat. Does the fees include insurance for anything happening on field?
Yes, it does.
It does.
Yes.
Yes, you do. Your membership, you will have public liability insurance and personal injury insurance for yourself for during the game. Yes, that's part of what you get by being a member.
Yeah, Luke, to answer your question, if you're already registered on Who's the Umpire, you do not need to re-register. You need to amend the definitions of what you.
Yes.
So if you're on there as a captain, that's fine. You can retain that if you're still a captain, but you also need to tell the system that you are now an umpire as well. You only need to register once.
Okay, Peter, can you give me sharing capability, please?
Yeah, you should have it there.
Right.
And as John Kirby said, do you need to pay registration for Cricket Lancer as per player? No, but you need to register as an umpire if you are going to stand.
Okay, folks, you should be able to see Who's the Umpire home screen there at the moment. I'm just going to move this over just so I can actually concentrate a little bit. If someone could keep an eye on the chat for me. Okay, simple login or register if you haven't done before. So I've obviously registered, so I'm just going to click login. Okay. If you're new, you clearly have to agree to the terms and conditions. So you put in your email address, password that you've set up, the sport that you're registering for, because this is actually used in multiple sports. I would suggest putting down remember me, because this will be a regular thing that you go into. Obviously the language that you wish for to come up. I struggle with English, so we'll carry on with English. Okay, automatically you will then have all these options. Okay. Now, as Tony has just described, contact availability is your first port of call. So let's have a look at March 2022 and onwards. Okay, so I've made myself unavailable for March for obvious reasons, unless anybody's playing their own games.
Well, it assumes you're unavailable until you tell it different.
Yeah. Okay. So we go into April. So I've already made my amendments, but if you haven't, you go into the little piece of paper here. Click. So I have made myself available for all the Saturdays and the Sundays. Okay. Now, if I wish to, I can change any of these Mondays or during the week, and you have the options to be all day, exchange. I'll describe that more in a few minutes. AM, that's obviously only in the morning. PM, evening, and variations. You can change them one by one, or you can go through Monday, Tuesday, all the months. Now, if you are like me, only available to umpire one match during the week or one match on the weekend, put it into your general availability notes. This will automatically populate for future months as well. Okay. If further midweek, this is just a quick note. If further midweek cover required, please contact directly, and we can make an appointment. Then you obviously would click save, and it updates straight away. Okay. So there's me updated. The one thing that's a little bit annoying is you can't just go on to the next month. You have to go back to contact availability if you want to change another month.
Will, if you click
Yes,
on
sir.
where it says month,
If
click on
I
month,
click on-
and then go into each month, you can do it that way.
You can drop
Yeah,
down.
okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm going to send you an appointment now, Will, in a few seconds. So
I'm going to use last year's as an example. Hey, there. Hey, bud. You're going to have a big wave to everybody? That's really helpful.
Is he available to umpire, Will?
He hasn't got his gear yet, Peter, so he won't be available till next season.
Ah, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
You get your acting gear.
Okay. So, as I advised before, days to answer your questions, they have physically been agreed, they just haven't been advertised at this stage.
Sorry, no, it's a little more complex than that, Des. Cricket Ireland have not yet finalised the dates and venues of the Interpros, and that's what everybody is waiting on.
Okay.
Once the work has been done.
you
you.
select Cricket Ireland provinces,
Provinces.
as your organisation.
Sorry,
That was the next thing to say, yeah.
let me go through that in a little bit more detail. I was going through this area first. I'll answer that question when I go into a profile. I just wanted to explain in the exchange part a little bit more. Okay, so when you intend to move up the levels, the opportunity to go on an exchange to a differing region is made available to you. There's only several dates, a couple of dates during the year that happens. One of the dates that is happening this year is on the 21st of May, which is looking after the Irish Cup and the National Cup of that date. So, like in our drop downs, just need to drop down and mark it as exchange. Okay. Killian, just noticing that you have a hand up there for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to know how far in advance you need to fill out your dates, and how short notice can you change it, or if you become available, how short notice.
Let me turn it the other way around, Killian.
I was going to say exactly that. Make yourself available, and then decline as required.
Okay.
No.
You will be. Well,
No, make yourself available, and if anything changes, if the girlfriend suddenly says we're going out,
okay,
and you forgot, then change it immediately.
Yeah.
Because it will tell the appointment secretary he's not available then anymore.
But if you make yourself available at short notice, we'll be very glad to have you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, don't worry about getting hold of me on a Thursday and saying, listen, I'm available Saturday, do you need me? The answer is yes.
There will always be a game available, made available for you.
Okay, thanks.
Peter, correct me if I'm wrong here, but especially for the newbies, we will do our utmost best to make sure that they never umpire on their own in their first year.
Yeah, absolutely. Umpiring on your own is a long day.
What if you've already been appointed?
You have to decline.
Yeah, you can decline, and you can amend. There is a facility. So, Peter, did you send me through something for me to accept?
No, I'm just doing it now. Just give us a second.
Cool. We'll do that and do that as an example. Just while I'm waiting for it, just pop into a profile, and we'll go through that in a little bit of detail for you. So, this is where you look for your colleague. As we discussed during the few weeks, we would always recommend that you get in touch with your colleague at a minimum the night before your match. Agree the game that you're doing, the clothing that you're wearing, a time that you're going to agree, and believe it or not, just make sure you're both going to the same ground. As we know, there's a couple of clubs that have two grounds, so just make sure that you're both happy that you're going to the correct ground. We'll use Bala as an example, purely because he's my last lookup. So simply type in a name or a part of. You will get every variation of Bala. So we have Bala Kalash, who's our lead tutor, as we know, and you would go in and you would pop in and you would find his contact details. For some reason, I don't seem to have his telephone number there, but normally speaking, the telephone number will be there as well. Let's go through back. We'll go Bala again, and we'll use the example of Yash. Okay, good example of that. Yash is one of our younger umpires, and he is a minor. So as a result, if there's a problem with that and you're struggling to find your colleague, just reach out to the exec or the appointer, and we will assist you in that regard.
You should have got
I can see there's a whole stack of things coming up on the chat there. So please read them out as required, please.
One of the questions I will be asking each of you before any appointments for you is whether you have your own car and are able to drive. If you haven't, I will make sure either that you can get by public transport to you wherever I'm sending you, or that your colleague will pass nearby you, some faraway place, and you can then make the necessary arrangements to be collected and delivered.
Don't seem to have got it yet, Peter, by in regard.
What date did you make yourself available? Give us a date that you're available.
9th of April.
Okay, just for that, there were a couple of things popped up in the chat. As unfortunately, I'm on a very small screen, so I can't really see it. But
right, if you're registered as a captain, do you need to have another account as an umpire? No, you don't. Just change or add the fact that you are now an umpire. Insurance, yes. Video link sent. Thank you. A bit off topic. Tony mentioned that the fee for scorers. Can we register for both umpire and scorer?
Yes. In that case, you pay the higher fee. But yeah, there's nothing. Obviously, umpire members of the association can be scorer members too.
No, if you're Garda vetted, that's absolutely fine. But you must send a copy of the notification that you've received from vetting to Tony so that he knows you're vetted.
I keep the LCUSA's list of who's vetted and when their vetting is due to expire. So therefore you have to send it to me. The guards will send it directly to you. They won't share it with us. Or so the guards will send it back to Cricket Ireland. Cricket Ireland send it directly to you. They don't share it with us or with Cricket Leinster. So you need to send it to us.
One interesting question.
If you've already been appointed to a game, you can decline it, but the system will ask you to explain why you're declining. So, you can put in a 1 or 2 line explanation, but can't be arsed is not the sort of reason that goes down terribly well. But clearly, if you're unwell or something has cropped up at home, then we will be understanding. Ken, the highest division, where are we? Highest division that we're permitted to umpire in, as high as you're able for. This season, it's not going to be very high. We'll be keeping an eye on you. I will be asking the various colleagues you stand with what they think of you, whether they think you're able for a higher grade of match. We will not push you beyond what we think you're able for.
Luke's question, what if you have limited transportation? Will you be assigned to fixtures within your capabilities?
Yeah, we've done that one.
Okay, that's fine. Des, fascinated to see what you were asked of car engine size. I rode a motorbike. The reason that is even in there, Des, is purely for mileage. Other organizations and other sports actually pay a mileage. Just to answer the question before I'm asked, we do not pay a mileage. You are paid a flat rate of expenses.
Did you get anything there, Will?
French I got already registered as a player with Cricket Leinster.
No good.
Yeah, John, I think you should probably also register as an umpire. It won't cost you anything on the website.
Yeah, sorry, there's just so you will not be appointed to umpire in your own club.
No. And if you are, please raise your hand very quickly.
And
if you notice that on the screen at the moment, there is a tab there called Loyalties.
And it could also
register. You should go in there and put any club of which you or a family member is a member of.
Yeah. So potentially there could be a club that you're not yourself a member of, but one of your children is a member of. So you could wind up conceivably umpiring them. So any tie loyalties like that, there are a couple of people who are themselves members of one club but have family members who play for other clubs, and that has to be taken into account as well.
Yeah.
So as you can see, you go through all the various details there. Okay.
Will, if you go to your appointments just on the page, just
yep.
Might get something there.
Though of course that doesn't.
You're in 22.
Yeah. It's automatically from the last one that I did last year.
Obviously, you can umpire matches on behalf of your club where there are no appointed umpires, and if you want to do that, that's good too, because rather than having just the batsman doing it in turn.
I don't know. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. I don't know if I don't have full access anymore. I used to be able to appoint. If you look at the video, it tells you how to do everything. Matt has done it on the video.
Okay, I'll give this as an example. Give me 2 seconds.
And the other thing is, if you have to pull out at the last minute, on Who's the Umpire, it makes you not allowing to pull out on a Friday or a Saturday morning. Am I correct, Peter? From what you remember?
I don't remember that as a feature, Peter, but you could be right. I think realistically, if you're pulling out that late, ring me.
Yeah.
Okay, just to run through a few. I keep a separate folder. You don't have to, but this is the way I do it. So you have an appointment. Okay. You receive all your details. Who the appointment was made by, the date of the game, the level, the home team, the away team, who your colleague is going to be, and all the bits and bobs. Where the venue is, as we discussed before, just make sure that it is the one ground. As we know, Leinster, for example, have 2 grounds, etc., etc. Simply go into an accept. Now, because this is an old one, it won't make any difference. But if you go into an accept, everything updates and everything's fine. If you decline, it'll ask you the reason that you are declining. Okay, just fill it out. We won't hold it against you, or at least I won't. And go from there. Okay, so going back, sometimes for whatever reason, you'll be removed from an appointment. Now that could be because we no longer are covering that game. If there's been a change to that point. Various reasons. You'll get an update and you'll be told. Okay. Then there could be an update. For example, with there could be a change of venue. There could be a change of date. There could be all sorts of details. So this is the example of the previous game that I showed. This is the update to the appointment. Just confirming that Prashant had confirmed as well. Okay. So that all feeds into the appointments.
Yeah, and if you just saw that email from Will, it also had my mobile number. So that's if you want to contact your colleague, the information is there.
Roy, to answer your question, how early is an appointment confirmed? As early as you go into your email. It can be done within 10 seconds. You can leave it there for a couple of weeks. You and Peter Hugh might fall out over it, but because obviously the faster that we get our updates done, the faster that we can make sure the various games are covered, and to make sure that your colleague is actually expecting you. So once you get an appointment, please confirm as soon as possible, unless there are extenuating circumstances.
Also with the umpire system is the post-match report that you must complete after the game. Now, you do one report for the 2 of you. So it doesn't matter which of you completes it, but it has to be completed if you want to be paid. No report, no money. And it simply asks you about the result of the game, the condition of the ground. It's a series of tick box answers. And there are various fair play awards at the end of the form. Completely straightforward to fill in. I very much doubt it will take you 5 minutes.
Apologize to you, Roy. Your question is, how early will you be assigned? Normally speaking, Peter will ask for your availabilities to be updated. I would guess between 2 months and 6 weeks. Normally speaking, at the very, very latest, you will be given your appointments within 5 weeks of the next date.
Yeah.
Obviously, with the early season matches, they'll be a little bit closer, but you will certainly have plenty of time to cover and check roses. As I said, for us, we'd be delighted for you to confirm at the earliest opportunity. But we're obviously aware that life sometimes takes over. So please be in contact if there's any problems.
Somebody asked earlier about midweek matches. All of the league fixtures, apart from the Alan Murray Cup, are scheduled for weekend dates or bank holiday Mondays. So the only games that are likely to be played in midweek that you're going to be available are refixes. That's not to say you shouldn't make yourself available from about the middle of May onwards, because the start that early if we start to get bad weather in April. But the women's Division 1 matches midweek, which are not going to be umpiring those this year.
It has happened in the past, but if that circumstance comes across, and we'll discuss getting gears and these kind of things when our fixtures be out. John, as discussed before, we're waiting on the Interpros to be confirmed before they'll be published. They will be advertised on the Cricket Leinster website under fixtures.
I don't think Abhijit's answer, like if you can check, well, I don't think it is integrated with.
No, I don't. I think you're right, Prashant. It's not.
No, it's not. Well, put it this way, gentlemen. If you can find a way of integrating it to your calendar, please let us know. It would make our lives much easier.
It's called a paper diary.
Well, I do it myself, but I'll show you what I just do. Let me go back and pick a date.
Yeah, but the question was that it doesn't do it automatically the way something
No,
like
it doesn't. No.
Yeah.
I'm afraid Who's the Umpire is an independent republic.
I'm going to stop sharing here now, just in case there's no more questions for me. Okay, happy days.
Games will start after 5 p.m. Look on the website when the fixtures go up, and you'll see what the start times are.
That's okay, Shiva. If you've joined late, that's fine.
Shiva, if you have any questions that you think have been answered during the call, by all means, drop one of us a line, and I'll happily answer questions. Likewise, if there's general questions, feel free to whack them up in the WhatsApp, and we will come back to you as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Import the Excel to a calendar. Share the calendar with members. PS updates. The calendars will not be shared. Clearly, Narpendra, you are far more of an IT guru than me. So I'll carry on with my long-winded writing down on a piece of paper exercise.
And as thank you so much, Will. But I would say that there's a video link for a YouTube video for the Who's the Umpire. It's a very good video. It was done by Matt last year, I suppose. So whenever you guys get a chance, I would say just go through it. It will definitely help you to understand how the Who's the Umpire works. Okay.
Roy, unfortunately, because I'm already registered, I wouldn't be able to run through it because I wouldn't have a dummy link, for example. But that is part of the video that has been shared. Yeah. If there's any issues, Matt and Peter will be available to answer any of those questions. But the actual process is fairly straightforward.
That will
As
be
I say,
available. Peter will be hiding under the desk.
as I say, I am far from an IT whiz, but even I was able to register without too much fuss.
The other thing
And you only
is,
have to do it once.
the other thing is there is an email address that will be used. It will be LCUSA appointments for your. It'll come from. So don't be emailing us personally or ringing us. And the other thing is, please don't put up messages after 10 o'clock or ring people after 10 o'clock. We all do live in a normal life. You might work in a different time zone than the rest of us, but most of us work 9 to 5 and need to go to bed at 10 o'clock. So just think of your colleagues before you, or your other people when you're putting up messages on the group.
I have a simpler routine for that. I'm afraid I don't answer the phone after 9.
As most of us work full time during the weekdays, any information on taxes on umpiring, you're paid a flat fee. It's
flat expenses.
It's expense. It's
expenses.
It's allowable expenses. It's not taxable. Basically, now theoretically there are some that could be, but 95% of them aren't. So nobody's expected to, because it's not worth revenues while collecting the tiny bit that could theoretically be. If you were umpiring matches next door to your house, you could theoretically be liable for a tiny amount of tax, but other than that, no. So basically it's not taxable. That's why we're paid a flat fee. You're not paid expenses plus mileage, because if you were, the amount to be paid would be very restricted.
And the last year was €50 for a long day match, 40 overs plus, and as I remember, it was 25 for a T20. They are set by Cricket Leinster. We will set them with Cricket Leinster, but Cricket Leinster directly set them, and Cricket Leinster also pay you. So just to let you know, you will need to fill out a form. I have the form, and you'll need to fill it out and send it to Matthew Ford at cricketleinster.ie. He will put you on their system, and they will pay you on a monthly basis.
I do have one question on these match cards that were sent out.
Yep.
It looks fairly self-explanatory, but could you explain what this odd and even here means and what that's used for?
It refers to the end that you're standing at, whether you're at the bowler's end for the odd numbered overs or the even numbered overs.
Got it.
It's there because it's always been there, I think, rather than anybody thought about it.
Always a good reason.
All those, you'll get your match cards and your match packs on the dates of the days that the Prashant and Will and the tutors are doing their thing in Marion, or at the end of the month. Don't ask me where they're going to be, but they will be given to you a pack of 20 and a pack of rain cards. You'll be given, and you'll be shown how to use them on the day. So just you get 20 over cards. That's for 20 matches. Don't use it for personal use. I won't be sending them out. Everyone gets them for 20 matches. If you need for personal use, photocopy it and make it up for your own personal use. But if you're appointed to LCUSA, they should cover 20 matches. And if you stand in 20 matches, Peter Chu will love you.
And he'll really love you if you do 40.
Yeah. One final thing, just in relation to standing. If you are standing in a non-appointed LCUSA match, you cannot wear the LCUSA gear.
Very important point, yeah. If you're standing for your club in a lower division match or in a lower division women's match or a youth match, you can't wear the LCUSA gear. Because I do a fair few of those and I have to come up with something else to wear.
Can I just say one thing to all of you? I realise a lot of you are probably still playing, and I'm going to have to combine playing and umpiring. Even if you manage one match per month, you've broken the ice and it gets something under your belt, and it gives us half a dozen games. If you can manage to do more than that, then as Peter says, we'll love you. And the more you do, the more we love you. But try to break the ice this year. You can start to put into practice what you've spent the last 8 sessions learning. Otherwise, it remains theoretical knowledge.
Yeah, you can also, guys can think of, say, for example, if you're buying up clothing, right, 80 odd euros, right, and paying up the match fees. So you can think of like if you do 4 or 5 matches, all these fees is covered. So at least the lowest you can do is like just do 6 matches. You're covered with the membership and the clothing and everything. As simple as that.
What is the highest division you'll do in your first year, Peter Chu?
I think
I don't know. Depends how good you are, Junaid. We will keep an eye on you and we'll assess you, and each of you will be different.
There are observers that will go around to matches and observe people.
Yep.
And the other thing is, if you are getting observed, please know your regs, because you will be asked by the observer or the person he'll ask you questions on the regs. And each competition can be different.
And
Peter
if your
Saracen, I'll just
observer
add on to that.
isn't asking you questions, we can be well sure the captains and players will be asking you questions.
Sorry, William.
Can I just
Is
say
it
there?
regs or the laws?
Yes. Well, no, the regulations are different, Prasanna.
Yeah.
You will also find that if you're standing with a more experienced colleague, that colleague will ask you as well, particularly in your, just so you're getting a kind of a feel for it. They will go through and ask you about regs. They're not going to be like questioning you saying, what's regulation 4.3? What does that say? The questions you'll get asked are,
what would you do if?
Yes, what's the wides in this competition? What's the many overs can a bowler bowl? What's the fielding restrictions, of any stuff like that? You're not going to be asked, you know what I mean, what's law 4.2 or whatever, but you're going to be asked questions about, you know what I mean, from the regulations of things like that. So.
Yeah, no, it's something we all go through as part of our pre-match. Even if it's 2 experienced umpires who both know what they're doing, you talk through it to clear your heads and be absolutely sure you're both on the same page.
After that, folks, I think it's a bit of a free-for-all. If there was any other generic questions that you want to fire out.
I think we'll be okay. So let me summarize what we are going to do next, and maybe Will, Peter, Tony, and Willie Clark can correct me if I have missed out anything. So the first thing which we will do is we will set up a form, maybe Peter CSN, and send it across, okay, as a backup. I would request everyone who is actually thinking of standing as an umpire to please update that form with the size as soon as possible. Okay, it's a humble request. As you know, it's a very long wait time and we need to get that information. Okay, so that's regarding that.
Should we say 24 hours?
Yes, I would say so. But I think fundamentally we can, but the point, Peter, is that clothing is something which can be decided only by next Monday, right? So even if they can update it by Friday or Saturday, we should be okay, because we would get an idea of what the outcome of AGM is on Monday.
Yep.
Right? So if you guys can please do that, that will be really helpful. Second thing which has come out of this meeting is the Who's the Umpire. I would highly recommend and ask everyone to please spend half an hour and go through that video. And as Will and Peter and Willie Clark has suggested, if you have any questions, put it on the chat after that video and we can answer the question. Okay. GARDA vetting, I think this is all we have already covered. There's nothing to be follow up on it. We all know that everyone has to be GARDA vetted. You know, you have the links of the forms and who to send to and all those kind of stuff. So I think that's the only outcome or next point for this, right? Is there anything where I missed out? Please let me know. Otherwise, I think we are good. Yeah, certificates will be something which will be, I'm so sorry, Peter. There was some question about the certificates from David Watkinson. So yes, as Peter has mentioned, certificates will be coming. I think there's a change in this year where we will only get 1 certificate rather than 2 as we used to get previous years. But once we have those certificates, and I've made sure that all the members have completed all the 8 sessions, because I know few members have missed out sessions and they will be covering up with NIACS courses. So once we have those details, we will hand over these certificates either by post, or maybe if we can hand it out to the members who would be running the mock drills in the March and or April first week around. So don't worry, you'll get those certificates.
Sorry, there's a question. Sorry, just to clarify, first form we have to fill out is for registration or the Garda vetting must be filled out first if you are planning to stand. Any dates for face-to-face training yet at the end of the month, and how long will these take? Will and Prashant will come back to you on those dates. I don't know.
I think Bala's intention was that they would be held on the last weekend of March or the first weekend of April. The intention last year was that they would last about 45 minutes to an hour, and I think with the number of queries we have, it was nearer to an hour and a half.
Or 3 hours.
And then we got a lovely afternoon, and we took our time and helped people understand what they needed to do. Was it 3 hours we were there last year, Will?
Yeah, just to answer that, we will be running 4 separate sessions. Sorry, rephrase it. We are hoping to run 4 separate sessions. Clearly, you do not have to attend all 4, but it is to give you availability. They will be Saturday and Sunday over 2 consecutive weekends. We are yet to confirm our time or location. That is what we are waiting for at this stage. We are hoping to have one Southern Dublin location and one Northern Dublin location to make it easier for people to get to. So just to confirm that, there'll be one on Saturday, two Saturdays, 2 Sundays, and you only have to attend one. Come guarded with as many questions as you want. That's the whole idea of the face-to-face.
And I think as we did last year, what we will do is we will also send out appointments. So you guys can accept it in the Who's the Umpire, and we will follow the same protocol, like you reach out to your colleague the previous day before and set out everything. Yeah, so we'll get there once we have more details on it.
I have one more thing to say. I have Tom Smith books. These are the better ones of they're not the best there, can't see it. Tom Smith books. They're the big book. They're a big book. People want to read them and everything. Tom Smith, they're called, and they're the blue book, but in much more detail. Thanks, William.
Peter, there you go. Because
thanks, William. Yeah.
Because I don't have a silly background. There you go, lads.
Mine is silly because you don't want to see the state of the IT office here.
There you go. All right.
They are for sale, and they are very, very handy to read. I read them all the time.
Peter, I will just add to that. They're a must-have. They're a must-have for just reading the stuff that comes up, the queries that come up, the explanation of some of the parts of the laws. It just gives you a full understanding, and there's a huge amount in it about scoring, and there's various little charts in it that cover bits and pieces of things and summaries that are well worth it.
I have 24 in stock presently. I will send out a form for I will send out a form in the next day or two about these books, and I also will send out a thing about scorecards and overcards. You just have to fill it out. They won't be posted, but it's just so I know who's collected them and what. They'll be there for you in boxes with your names on it. Okay, and yeah, so I'm on the group. As I'll put my name up, and any questions about the books and we'll put them up in the next few days.
Yeah, I think
do you want to say anything about mentoring?
Yes. So thank you so much, Peter. So basically, what we will do is in the next week or so, once we have finalized the people who have missed out a couple of days for the second stage, what we will do is all those members who are planning to stand this year will be assigned a mentor who is a senior most umpire. And the idea is that the mentor will be your direct contact person for this particular season SS. Okay, So if you're facing an issue, if you have any doubts, you can always reach out to your mentor. And the idea is that maybe by the end of the season, you might have like at least 2 or 3 interactions with your mentor, and that will help you understand the game a little bit more from the umpiring perspective. And it will also help us to understand where you are in terms of your, for example, level of umpiring. So it will help us in grading and other stuff as such. So once we have got the confirmation of the members who will definitely be standing this year, all of you will be assigned a mentor. Okay. And then it is, I would say 90% your responsibility to make sure you reach out to your mentor for any questions as such, or any doubts as such, or to see where actually you stand. Maybe just discuss after the match. Okay, this is my match card. Is that something which I could have done better or not? Okay. From smallest things to anything. And that will be kind of help you out to just grow in this role, as simple as that.
Okay, everybody happy?
Just suggesting that those who have now completed stage 1 and stage 2, there are regular workshops that are run by the LCUSA. Our very own Mr. Clark will be looking after one next week. I would suggest that now that you are...
Sorry, what?
Don't do that to me, Willie, please. There will also be one just before the season starts regarding regulations, and at that point that they'll be discussed in a little bit more detail. Every piece of information, I know I'll remember this, and I'm sure the other guys will echo this. Pre your first couple of seasons, any form of preparation that you can do is invaluable. The more workshops that you can attend, the better chance and the better season that you will have. As we've discussed all the way through, the more preparation that you can do, hopefully the easier days that you will have on the field.
And the more workshops you do, and it'll help you go upwards if you want to become a test umpire in future years. If you can get that standard.
Okay, then I think
Thanks, guys.
That's it. Thank you so much, all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'll say any further questions, fire them up in the WhatsApp group, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jimmy. Sorry, Jimmy. The wife is working this evening at home, and the cat's asleep in with her. Doesn't come near me when the missus is at home. So
the cat is learning sense, Willie.
Yeah, both of them have. Right, I'm gone. Thanks, guys.
Cheers,
Bye.
Bye.
Yes, we will
Thanks,
send a
everyone.
link on the WhatsApp group for next week's workshop, so that Willie's put under pressure. Absolutely no problem at all.
Just while I say one other thing, please get your Garda vetting forms in if you need them filled out, because I am going on holidays in a few weeks. Okay.
That's okay. No problem. Peter, if you can stay for a minute, if that's fine. Yeah. Thank you so much.